Chapter 38 The Pod. As her long ocean journey continued, Roz passed the time by sharpening her skills of calculation. With practice, she identified an underwater mountain range, a sleeping whale, and a piece of driftwood long before she saw them. But our robot wasn't the only creature using calculation around there. First, she heard wide whistling. Then she heard repeat clicking. The whistles and clicks grew louder and faster, and a pod of dolphins surged into view. The dolphins crowded Roz, studying her and prodding her and chattering to themselves. Now, what do you think this is? It's got a hard shell, and it swims funny. It is some sort of sea turtle, Roz said. I'm not a sea turtle. I'm a robot. My name is Roz. Do you hear that, everyone? This creature is a robot named Roz. Hey, Roz the robot, can you do this? One of the dolphins suddenly popped his tail and leaped up out of the water, and a moment later he came splashing back down into the waves. Yes, I believe I can do that, said Roz. The robot suddenly kicked her legs and launched herself up out of the water for the first time in weeks. She felt the light touch of air against her body, and then gravity pulled her down back into the waves. The dolphins were impressed. They cheered and laughed and peppered Roz with questions, but the live mood changed when her mentioned her mission. Then the dolphins started chattering again. We've stayed clear of the poison tide, but we know about the damage it's causing. It must be stopped. But what can we do to help? Roz answered. You can tell me where to find the ancient shark. They say she lives deep in the northern ocean. To get there, you'll have to swim west, around a very long stretch of land. Roz asked, could I get there faster by traveling over the land, rather than around it? We don't know much about land. You should speak with the seabirds. Yes, the seabirds will know the fastest way. Okay, everyone, let's find Roz some seabirds. The pod of dolphins surged into action, but instead of swimming upward, as you might expect, they swam downward into the steppes. You see, the dolphins knew exactly how to attract seabirds. They round up a school of fish, circling them, forcing them into a tight cluster all at once. The dolphins blew air from their boreholes, and dense layer of bubbles carried the fish up to the surface, where they trashed through the waves, and soon flocks of hungry seabirds were flying toward the scene. Chapter 39 The Seabirds. Seabirds from all around were drawn to a frothy, fishy patch of ocean. Gulls and terns hovered above the water, picking fish from the waves. Only the puffins took the plunge. Their plump body plopped into the surf, and then they started to hunt, flapping their short fins and wings, and puffins seemed to fly through the water as they snatched fish with their 30 peaks. When one of the puffins popped back to the surface, he swam into something hard. A live fish stung from his back as he spoke. Hey, I'm fishing he. I don't understand, said Roz, said the robot, who was treading water beside him. The puffin groaned. Then he spit out the fish and scored it with his wing. I said, hey, I'm fishing here. I'm sorry for disturbing you, said the robot, but I need to speak with a seabird. I am on a mission to stop the poison tide, and the puffin cut it. Oh, I know about the poison tide. It came to Coth, where I used to live. The other birds were so excited to see dead fish piling up on the rocks, but old Kerplunk knew better. That's my name, Kerplunk. Nice to meet you. Anyway, I said not to touch the fish. I said something didn't smell right, but nobody will listen. They gobbled down as many fish as they could, and pretty soon the rocks were piled up with dead birds. I moved my family to a safer spot, but so many fish were leaving the area that we may have to leave too. It was a troubling story. The robot didn't know what to say. Neither did the puffin. They quickly bubbled on the waves together. Behind them, the feeding Freezy calmed down, and the other seabirds flew off. At last, Ross said, I must find an ancient shark. I have heard that she lives in the Northern Ocean. Can you show me the fastest way there? Kerplunk winked and said, No problem. The puffin gripped the fish with his beak. Then he flapped his wings and scampered over the waves and lifted into the air. Ross followed him through the water, and before long a large coastline climbed into view. That coast had once been home to thousands of seabirds. Now only a few hundred were left. They were screeching and soaring and nesting on the hillsides. In addition to puffins and gulls and terns, there were another type of bird called a skua. Two squaws peeled away from the others and bowed together kerplunk. They went to fish. The puffin saw them coming. He dodged left and right and swooped low, skimming the water. The squaw curved through the air and beat their wing and easily caught up to kerplunk. They harshed poor puffin, nipping at his tail and his wings, and finally they grabbed his fish and sent him tumbling into the sea. Are you okay? Said the robot when she reached him. Kerplunk groaned. I'm okay, but I know I've got more fishing to do. He pointed to the coast, where a stream was cascading down a grassy slope. Follow that stream back across the land, said Kerplunk. It'll lead you to a glacier. From there, you'll see the Northern Ocean. And Roz, do us all the favor and stop the poison tide, would ya? Life is hard enough out here as it is. The robot watched as the puffin took off and headed back out to catch another meal. Chapter 40. The Underwater Forest. The waters along that coast were home to a large forest of kelp. Tall stalks of seaweed swayed as huge waves went rolling over. Sunlight filtered through the shifting foliage and toppled the seafloor, and just like forests on land, this underwater forest was teeming with wildlife. Barnacles clung to the rocks. Schools of fish were swirling out from the greenery. Otter dove down and tore clams from the reef. Roz was working her way through the kelp forest when she noticed she was being followed. A creature was darting from shadow to shadow as it trailed after her. The robot tried to go faster, but the water current and the moving kelp slowed her down. Rather than fleeing from the mysterious creature, Roz decided to hide. She quickly wrapped a kelp frond around her torso, smeared sand over her limbs, placed seashells on her head, and nestled into the ground. For a brief moment, she blended into the reef, but camouflage works a little differently underwater, and soon the kelp was unraveling. The sand was drifting away. The shallows were glided off, and there was a robot in the open as an octopus whirled out from the shadows. The octopus had red skin and bush head and 8 wriggling arms, but something about her movement signaled that she wasn't dangerous. She was curious. Who are you? Said the octopus. My name is Roz. I'm a robot. My name is Limber. I'm an octopus. I was afraid you might be dangerous, said Roz, so I tried to camouflage myself. Limber laughed. That isn't camouflage. This is camouflage. The robot crawled onto a rocky ledge and squeezed her old, squishy body into a small crevice. Her skin suddenly turned rough and gray until she perfectly matched her surroundings. In an instant, the octopus had become part of the reef. Roz couldn't believe her eyes. I've never seen a better display of camouflage, she said. Not in the ocean or on an island. Chunk of rock seemed to melt, and the octopus reappear. You've been on land? I have spent most of my life on land, said Roz. I love land, said Limber. I climb onto the shore every once in a while. It's so refreshingly bright and airy. I wish I could spend more time up there. I'm heading to shore now, said Roz, pointing. Oh, you don't want to go that way, said Limber. The waves will smash you against the rocks. Let me show you a better way. Limber wrapped a strong arm around Roz's wrist, and then the octopus jetted off through the water, dragging the robot behind her. They glide between the kelp ferns and over seagrass and into a cave in the side of the reef. The cave was long and dark, with only a few shafts of light stream down from the cracks in the ceiling. At the end of the cave was an opening in the rock, and they climbed up through it until the bright sunny shore. Limber crawled into a tide pool, and she and Roz chatted over the sounds of crashing waves. When the robot explained her mission, the cheerful octopus turned gray and serious. So it's real, said Limber. I hope the poison tide was merely a rumor, but what do you know about it? Will it ever come here? What I know is that the poison tide is made of toxic dust that is flowing along ocean currents, said Roz. What I do not know is whether it will ever come here. You have to stop it, Limber shouted. You have to do whatever it takes. The octopus turned away and quietly said, Please forgive my outburst. I have a lot on my mind. A few days from now, I'll crawl inside my den and lay eggs. I will spend the last few months of my life watching over them. By the time my eggs hatch, I'll be dead. We octopus mothers sacrifice everything for our young. Sometimes I dream about my tiny hatchlings. In my dream, I hold them close and say that I'll always protect them. It's only a dream, though. I won't be alive to protect them. That's why you must stop the poison tide. Then maybe my hatchlings will have a chance to grow up. I'll do everything in my power to stop the poison tide, said Roz. Limber squinted at the hot sun and said, I should be going. The octopus started crawling across the rocks, but before dropping into the water, she looked back at Ed. Good luck, Roz. I'm counting on you. We're all counting on you.